All right, as Tony said, this was a brainstorming case for me. I had no idea about nuclear power, never been in a nuclear power plant, probably never will. But the number one thing I always try to do with these cases is put myself on the ground in what I imagine is a nuclear power plant as fast as possible. And whether it's, just in my head imagining I'm there and seeing people walking around me, how do I think this is? If I was a manager there, what am I responsible for? Who reports to me? Why? Just trying to think in that mindset, and that really gives you an idea of kind of what you're facing, things you may not normally see when you're just reading a case study or a case report, the kind of everyday details that consultants are going to go in and advise on. And that's kind of how I listed out everything here with my brainstorm is, the current firm that we have and the future firm that we're going to be. And, as the case went, that's something I really harped back to, as I imagine they're, two sides of a room. They're nowhere near each other, and for good reason. That kind of gave me hindrance. As Tony said, something you can always do better is to list out your thoughts logically. I tend to jump around a lot when I'm doing that and speak very fast and it's coming out. So one thing I usually try to do is bucket my ideas. Take the time to write them. It takes a lot longer to write than it does to speak. Another thing here is getting as specific as you can without sounding, like you're really trying to with the industry. Whether that's bringing in something you read in The Economist about cold water nuclear, warm water nuclear, trying really to show that you're able to pick up on a subject matter very quickly and not necessarily be an industry expert, but be able to interview them, be able to talk to them and find out what they think about the problems. And then the last thing I would say, one thing I did very poorly on this is I became very fixated on one thing very quickly. Going through the math here and talking about the financing, it became very apparent to me that it was going to be a very high break-even point. And I became too fixated with that and tried to go with the what if right away at the break-even. Instead of taking a step back and be like, well, what else would they look at when financing this project? Or what else would management look at? What are the outside influences, the risks, maybe the positive, the alternative energies or industries we can use this for? But overall, I thought it was a good case. My recommendation is you keep it as much of a dialogue as you can. The interviewer is doing probably 4 of the same cases at least that afternoon, if not 8 with the morning. So trying to make it as enjoyable for them as possible and approach that in a very personal manner.